Yeah, thanks, Max, and good afternoon, everyone, and a pleasure to be here with you. I'm excited today to talk to you about our regional growth cluster that we call BioConnects New England, with our co-coalition members being Worcester Polytech, Northeastern Mass Life Sciences Center, Rhode Island Commerce, the Rue Institute of Northeastern and Portland, Maine, Focus Maine, and the Gloucester Marine and Genomic Institute. These are our core coalition members, but also comprise 130 additional other partners in the process. So go ahead, Eileen, next slide, please. So I think one of the most exciting things that I've learned as a life scientist through the COVID pandemic in watching the amazing research and development that's happened in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right, is Moderna, as we all know, made an mRNA vaccine, and we saw their early stage production of that vaccine happen in their Norwood, Massachusetts manufacturing facility with great success. There were other companies that did their research and development and then manufactured their vaccines a great distance from those research and development hubs and had lots of problems with quality of those products. So really the opportunity for us is to think about how we take that research and development hub in Cambridge, Mass, and bleed it out across Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Maine in this tri-state coalition to start doubling down on biomanufacturing for advanced therapies, which are cell and gene therapies, and thinking about, like I said, the research and development happening in Cambridge, but giving them that opportunity to do smaller scale manufacturing, what we call process development scale manufacturing, to work out all the kinks and the process before it goes to large scale commercial production, right? So really thinking about how that bleeds out of Cambridge across Massachusetts up to Maine, down through Rhode Island to start. Yes, there's other states in New England, so we'll bring them in. In the long-term plan is to bring those other 3 states in, and then have that bleed down the East Coast to other hubs in North Carolina and places that you've heard about today, and then across the country to really double down on our infrastructure here and think about how we kill the valley of death. And with these products, it's a really distributed manufacturing type of process, right? All these products are going to have to be manufactured next to or adjacent to a hospital. So it's really important to have the workforce and the technology in the regions and using the R&D hub of New England to really double down and make the United States a leader in the space. And we project, 40,000 plus jobs in the space in New England alone over the next 2 to 3 years. Eileen, next slide, please. So really, like I said, this is just to highlight the growth cluster along the I-95 corridor with our vision and mission. To start, we already have capital infrastructure in place in Massachusetts and that we'll leverage, and then 3 new places in Maine, Western Mass, and Rhode Island proposed. Go ahead, Eileen.
So as Jared said, we recognize the fact that Cambridge is the premier location for biotechnology. And in a lot of instances where you have that type of density, you don't necessarily always have to be thinking about strategic growth. But when you think about places like Western Mass, Maine, Rhode Island, where the density of this type of work is significantly lower, we have to be much more deliberate in how we actually are broadening our workforce development and opportunities for those people in those areas. And so we've been committed to creating a strategic approach to really upskilling the entire area so that they can have access to these types of jobs and opportunities, regardless of whether or not they live in Cambridge or one of these outlying areas. So our coalition has created 4 distinct areas that they're working together on: workforce, innovation and prototyping, entrepreneurship. And across all of these things, we really want to inspire diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what we're doing is we're really maximizing the knowledge that we've created across this network and actually sharing that knowledge so that we're not being duplicative. So for example, we've thought very carefully about workforce development, because as we all know, it's not enough just to bring a company into an area. I can't tell you how many times people have said, we just need a great company to move here. But you don't just drop something flourishing into a desert. You actually have to cultivate that human capital. So in order to do that, we've thought very carefully about all of the pieces that we know that work, that we've learned from these different areas. And what we want to do is we want to share them. The number one thing we want everyone to understand is life sciences is for all. Because one of the challenges we have in career pathways for life sciences is some students believe that it's only meant for the elite, but it's not. We have opportunities, well-paying positions for all of these people, for from high school, non-degree holders to degree holders. And so we thought very carefully about how do you actually engage them in the community? How do you offer them opportunities to have stackable credentials so that you don't have to have the barrier to going to a degree? We think about experiential learning. We know that experiential learning has a significant impact on students, particularly those that are underrepresented in the communities. The other thing that we have learned is wraparound services are critical to be able to even help people engage in this type of environment and this type of education. And the employment opportunities are significant for people across the board. And so what we really wanted to do is take this comprehensive approach to really invest in the human capital. So as this technology and the industry bleeds out of Massachusetts, it comes to the local areas as opposed to moving across the globe or into different states that are much farther away.